going through rehab for my shoulder, my last surgery on my shoulder, I started getting sick with my stomach, and I had lost 29 pounds in about 30 days. And I was my pain was increasing more and more on my right side and into my mid-stomach. So I've been with this, there was my primary doctor I had been with for 10 plus years, and he had transitioned to another place, and a new doctor came in, and she was a younger doctor, and I decided that I was gonna give her a try. And prior to me going in November, I had already been with her with as far as my primary care help with my primary care physician. I'm distracted, y'all. There's people, dogs, things all around me. I thought this is a peaceful place, and I'm trying to do this video. I'm trying. Anyway, had gone in to see the doctor this one particular visit because I was having stomach problems and losing weight, and she examined me on this particular day, the latter part of October going into the first part of November. And from her examination, she thought I was having issues with my appendix. So she sent me in for She sent me in for an ultrasound, and went in a couple of days later and had the ultrasound. Well, when I got the results back, it showed spots on my liver. So from there, she sent me to a GI doctor. The GI doctor did some testing. After a couple of weeks, he called me, told me I need to come into the office, and it scared me. And I was going through a lot. I had been off work since May of 2018, and my benefits had run out. My finances had ran out, and I was trying to get back to work. But I was sick. My stomach was hurting. Pain. So she got me connected with the GI doctor through his tests and the ultrasound showing spots on my liver. They told me to come in. Well, I couldn't pay my copay, and he wouldn't see me unless I paid my copay. So I said, send me back to my primary doctor. Primary doctor got the results back, told me I need to go back to the GI doctor. She was not in a good place, mentally, physically, or financially at the time. So I called the GI doctor and explained my situation. They told me to come in anyway. Went in to see him this day. And y'all, this doctor my mom said their bedside manner was so cold. And I was by myself. I was already stressing because I needed to know what those results were. And they sent me into a panic because I was scared. When they say spots, what do you automatically think? That. Didn't hear that, but I that's what my thoughts were. And because of the runaround that I was getting with not being able to pay and going back to the primary care and then back to the GI doctor. So finally get into him, go into this room with him by myself, and he just blurted it out. We found cancer. Just like that. No other way to say it. But I was by myself, y'all. By myself. He said, the findings are cancer. And I was just like this. I don't know for how long, but I was just like that. I heard and I saw his mouth moving and words coming out of his mouth. But after he said cancer, I was just in a daze. When I knew, next thing I knew, I was just bawling. And he wheeled his chair close to me and told me I needed to get it together because he needed to tell me some things that I needed to do, and I need to get those things done rather quickly. But I was still just so next thing I remember was his nurse coming in and talking to me, and she put her hand on my shoulder, then she embraced me and said, "You're going to be okay. You're going to get through this." And she walked me out to her desk, and they were making phone calls to get me referred to another facility to do 2 more tests. Excuse me, to do 2 more tests, and they needed those tests scheduled and done quickly. So within a week, he ended up doing another test, and I think they were trying to find out what grade and what stage the cancer was, and the cancer that I was diagnosed with is called neuroendocrine tumor cancer. The acronym for it is NET, NET cancer. It's a rare and incurable form of cancer that originated in my small intestines, and by the time they found out, it had spread to my liver. So after getting the second round of tests done from him, and him talking to me after those findings again that determined the grade and the stage that the cancer was, again, he was still cold. My oldest daughter, was with me when I came out of recovery the day that he did the second set of testing. And I was in tears, and I told my daughter, I said, "I don't like him." She touched me. She said, "Mom, don't worry about it. We got him. I'll fire doctor in a minute," with the quickness. 2 days later, my daughter had all my files transferred over to another doctor, and I was in with him. Had to go through testing all over again with him, which I was fine with that. And that he gave me a second opinion. Again, the same thing. His diagnosis was the same as the first GI doctor gave me, but this doctor, he was so much better. They gave me more peace with what I was dealing with, but still the shock of hearing again it's cancer. So I was sitting in this second doctor's office again by myself, but my oldest daughter worked across the street from where we were. So when I got the diagnosis the second time, confirming again that it was cancer, what type of cancer it was, again, I was still and in tears again because it had been confirmed the second time. So by the time when he got the words out that it was cancer, my oldest daughter walked through the door and I hit the floor. And I just remember looking up. I heard a knock on the door. I looked up and the door opened and it was her, and I was bawling. And I just turned to the doctor and I said, "Would you repeat what you just told me to my daughter?" And I could see terror in her face. And she was coming over to me to pick me up off the floor. I was out again. And he told her what it was. And she was familiar with this doctor. My daughter works in the medical field. She had worked with him before, and that's why she referred me to him. So he talked to her and told her what was going on. And by that time, she was consoling me, and she just said, "Mom, you're going to be fine. We're going to get through this." And I'm so thankful for her and for her strength and how she came through and picked me up and helped me walk through that visit with the doctor. But y'all, I want to go back to when I left the first doctor's office and the diagnosis he gave me. After leaving his office, I went to my car, and I lived maybe 7-8 minutes from this doctor's office, and I sat in the car for I don't know how long. And when I did finally got home, I had to call my children and tell them. And my son was living out of state at the time, and I wanted to talk to all of them at one time because I didn't want to keep repeating what the diagnosis was. So when I called them, I got one on the phone. I couldn't get them all connected at one time, so they all finally did. We all finally connected on the phone, and they knew something was wrong, and I was trying to hold it together, but then they just said, "What is it? Tell me what it is." And when I told them, silence, just silence, and it's just silence. And that's how I told my children. Hadn't told my parents yet, and I didn't want to keep repeating the C word. So going back to when I got the second opinion from the second doctor after his diagnosis, and then he referred me to a doctor that was closer to me and someone that specialized in neuroendocrine tumor cancer. So got squared away with a new doctor, an oncologist that deals specifically with neck cancer. Got with him, testing again. After him diagnosing again for the third time, walking me through what the cancer is, what the treatment is, and finding me a surgeon. So this was the diagnosis was in February. The diagnosis being confirmed in February. Getting with the oncologist and the surgeon was in March. So I had surgery a couple of months. I had surgery soon after that. And all that time going through things and just dealing with, is my life over? Is this the end for me? What happens now? They said cancer. I'm dying. Those were my thoughts. And yes, I did after, I'm all over the place, but I did tell my parents. And when I told my dad, I went to his house, and he and my stepmom were there, and I was trying to be strong and not just break down in front of my parents, and trying to be strong for them. But when my dad sat in front of me and I told him what it was, I broke. I broke, and my dad embraced me like I was his little girl, not a 50-plus-year-old daughter, but his little girl, and I got strength from that. And from leaving my dad's house, I went to my mom's house, and I definitely didn't want to cry with my mom, but being broken like I was with my dad and the strength that I got from him, it helped me to hold up when I had to tell my mom. Because when I told my mom broke, and I was able to embrace my mom and let her know what was going on, what was going to happen, and what the prognosis was. So left my mom's house and went home. And I'm a divorced woman, and being divorced, I live by myself at the time, living by myself, not far from my youngest daughter. But I went home and I was all alone, and that was hard, just to release that to my parents and then start to mentally prepare for surgery, going back and forth from the doctors and getting tests done here, tests done there, telling family members it's this, and trying to educate myself on what is this type of cancer. What kind of cancer is this? So with the little that I learned, it was overwhelming, and it still is overwhelming because I'm still walking through this. They told me that this cancer was stage 4, and it does not go into remission once they stage you. That's the stage that you are until forever. They say I'll be dealing with this cancer for the rest of my life, and that they were going to do surgery to remove the cancer. So just trying to grasp all of that and deal with being diagnosed with cancer. Not just cancer, but a rare and incurable form of cancer. Never heard of it. This cancer is not something that has been in my family, and rare, incurable cancer. This is what I was faced with, and this is what I'm dealing with, what I was dealt with, and what I'm dealing with. Shortly before I had the surgery, God gave me peace and said, this sickness is not unto death. No matter what they've told you, I'm in control. And from that's where I really began to get strength and get more peace, and was able to be strong for my children and my grandchildren and my parents. And then just to start to live life even more and educate myself and educate those around me about this rare and incurable form of cancer. What is neck cancer? Neck cancer, my diagnosis is my diagnosis is cancer of the small intestines and neuroendocrine carcinoma of the small bowel. When I had the surgery, they removed my ovaries, they removed my small bowel, they removed my gallbladder, and a portion of my liver. Why did they remove all of that? Because those are the cancer. This particular cancer can affect the lungs, the pancreas, the rectum, the gallbladder, your gallbladder, I'm sorry, go back. This type of cancer can affect your lungs, your pancreas. Follow the notes. Just follow the notes. What is neck cancer? Neck cancer is neuroendocrine tumor cancers. They call it the quiet cancer. Why? You can have it for years and never know. Being misdiagnosed for years until you get with the right doctor and they discover what it is. And in my case, that's what happened. They said I probably had it when I was diagnosed. It was 2018. They said I probably had it way back in 1993 when I was having issues with my stomach back then. But finally getting the right diagnosis. My diagnosis is cancer of the small intestines, neuroendocrine carcinoma of the small bowel. Neuroendocrine tumor cancer. NET cancer is the diagnosis. NET, N-E-T, is the acronym for neuroendocrine tumor cancer. Neuroendocrine tumors can affect your lungs, your appendix, small intestines, your rectum, and your pancreas. In my case, when they found it, they saw it on my liver initially. When they went in and did the surgery, they saw where it originated was in my small bowel, and it had spread to my liver. That's why they had to remove part of the liver, my small intestines. They removed my ovaries and my gallbladder. Removed my ovaries and gallbladder because the cancer can affect those also. Went through the surgery and went home, recovered, was unable to return back to work, and I lost all my benefits. I lost all of my medical benefits, eventually going on disability. With that happening, I had to switch doctors, and from there, I was without a doctor's care for a month, and the whole time that I was without care, I just kept asking God to make sure, lead me to the right doctor. And when I got to Parkland Hospital, where I currently go for treatment and my care, I was hooked up with a doctor that was very familiar with the type of cancer that I'm dealing with. The same thing that he did was what my previous oncologist did. And again, this was a year later, had to go through the testing all over again and getting the diagnosis done all over again, even after the surgery. Well, this doctor found still tumors on the liver, and then they saw some spots on my lungs, and as I said earlier, it could affect your lungs as well. They didn't see that when I was initially diagnosed with it back in 2018, but in 2019, the latter part of mid-summer, July of 2019, when I went to the new doctor, they saw tumors on my lungs. So from there, with the diagnosis and a new findings, they're seeing still cancer on the liver. He told me I would have to start treatment. And after, when the surgeon, I skipped all over the surgery, but had the big surgery, went through all of that, and made it through that with them removing the organs that they did, and part of organs that they did, recuperated from that, coming back up to July 2019 with the new doctor, finding the cancer again on the liver and on the lungs. So he said I would have to start treatment. So we got started treatment September of 2019. And the treatment that I started with, they left a small bag of chemo in my stomach from where they removed the main tumor. And that eventually dissolved. But it still showed the tumors on my liver, and on my lungs. So I started doing a treatment every 28 days, and I started with an injection and a medication through the IV, and I did that for about 6 months. Well, came off the medication through the IV and continued with the injection. And the injection is a hormone therapy to keep the cancer slow growing, which this is a slow growing cancer. In my case, there's stages that it's in, there's grade that they classify it as, and it's either well differentiated or poorly differentiated. In my case, I am stage 4 because it spread from my stomach to other organs. And I am grade 1 because it is well differentiated. Well differentiated means it's slow growing. So with all of that happening, that's why I have to do treatment every 28 days. And they say treatment is for life. Do I look like I'm worried about that? God gave me peace early on even before the surgery, and said, "This sickness is not unto death." And I stand on that. No matter what the doctors say, no matter how sometimes I get sick and I doubt things or I get afraid, I still go back to, Lord, you said this sickness was not unto death. And I shake myself, and I gather around people or have people that I know have a connection with the Father to pray for me, pray with me, and encourage me, and to walk with me through what I'm going through when I have those moments. So today I am thankful. I am thankful for all those who continue to show their love, show their support for me, those that are with me in those dark days, in those lonely days, in those nights, and in those days when I just cry and I question and I wonder. Thank you all for being there for me and standing and walking with me. Currently, I am still going through treatment. I had treatment on yesterday, which was February 28th, 2022. And treatment went well. I've lost, I have these, my weight fluctuates, and I got sick with COVID back in December of 2021. But prior to that, I started getting sick again with my stomach, even going through the treatment. And that's just how the cancer does. 1 minute I'm up, 1 minute I'm down. But I'm just thankful for life itself. I'm thankful that I'm able to still take care of myself and do the things that I do. And God continues to make ways for me. Currently, I am still walking through treatment. The cancer on the spots on the lungs are stable. Anything below a 10 is good. They are a 1 and a 2. So all the doctor is doing is keeping a watch on those. The spots on the lungs, there's one that's bigger than all of them. I think there's like a total of 10 that are still there, but they are decreasing per the scans back in October of 2021. I go in every 6 weeks for blood work. I do treatment every 28 days. Sometimes I do it twice out of the year. I'll have to do it twice in a month because of how the days fall. But normally every 28 days I go into Parkland for treatment, and every 6 weeks, every 3 to 6 weeks I have blood work done. Every 3 to 6 months I have scans done. All in all, it is well with my soul. The cancer is stage 4. It is well differentiated. That the cancer is slow growing, and the ones on the lungs, again, they say are a 1 and a 2, and the ones that are on the liver, the biggest one, is stable. And when I go in for scans, that's what the doctor likes to hear, that the cancer is stable. Stable meaning none decreased or they did not increase. Early last year, they did see one on the liver that decreased in size. So I'm thankful for that, and just looking forward to the day that I go in for scans and they don't see nothing, not a thing. It's like I've had this vision of one day going in for the scans, and while I'm in the machine and it's scanning, I'm just rejoicing. I'm not dancing, but I'm praising the Lord on the inside, and I've seen that. I've seen that twice. So I'm holding on and trusting and believing God that I'm healed. I'm just walking to get through my manifested miracle. So join me as I journey through this thing that they call life, dealing with a rare and incurable form of cancer. We made it through the video. Tell the people bye. Sparkle. She did pretty good. Tell the people bye. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more as we walk through life with Prissy Renee. Thank you guys for your love, your prayers, and your support.